You're listening to Forward Faster, bite-sized insights for entrepreneurs. All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Jim Sinal, president of NextCore. And today on the podcast, we are really grateful and fortunate to have who's become probably one of the most popular people in town right now, but Virginia Smith, who's the branch manager of Buffalo and Rochester area for Small Business Administration. Virginia, thanks so much for taking some time and being with us today.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate the time. We're here to help our businesses. So any way we can get the word out, we're thankful for our partners. So thank you, NextCore and the podcast team for helping to get us done.
Thank you. So for people listening, if they haven't heard already, the stimulus bill was recently passed, and in there were a lot of provisions for small businesses, for relief, for loans, some forgivable loans, lots of different things. And the SBA at the forefront of that. Which is why Virginia has been doing webinars and phone calls and in-person meetings all over the place. But maybe, Virginia, if you could just take a quick second, the SBA website kind of shows 4 different programs as part of the CARES Act. Can you just give a real high level of what those are?
Sure. So first off, what Jim's talking about is sba.gov/coronavirus. That's the easiest way to get to that website. The 5 really start from our economic injury disaster loan. That is a direct loan from the Small Business Administration. You apply to SBA through the website. It's up to $2 million. And the first $10,000 is in a grant. It's up to $10,000 per the number of employees you have. And it's all for working capital, but it is through SBA. The second program is what's called an Express Bridge Loan. That's a quick $25,000 through SBA lenders in our area. So you go to the SBA lender, so the lending institution, you apply for that. And it's supposed to be a quick $25,000 to get money in your hand while you're waiting for the economic injury disaster loan to close. Once you close the injury disaster loan, you would refinance that $25,000 into the EIDL, but it's a way to get money in your hands. The third thing is debt relief. SBA and the CARES Act has been authorized to provide 6 months of payment and interest on any business who currently has an SBA loan. We will pay 6 months of that principal and interest for those current SBA loans. Reach directly out to your local lenders for that. And the fourth program is the Payroll Protection Program. We're still rolling out information on that, and that's also a program that goes directly through lenders. So the first program is SBA driven, and the other 4 are all going to be with our partners.
Terrific. And I probably should have pointed out to the listeners that many of these things just opened for business just last Friday. And so a lot of folks are trying to figure out how they work, and I know some of the rules are still being finalized on some of these things. So from a NextCore standpoint and the clients that we serve entrepreneurs that might be just by themselves, small teams, small businesses throughout the community. Which of these programs, take Paycheck Protection Program, for example, who's eligible for that? If you're a sole proprietor, if you're a freelance coder, or somebody with real payroll and employees, are all of them eligible, or who comes?
Well, everyone has payroll. So even if you're a sole proprietor or you're a 1099 contractor, you're still bringing in income. You still have payroll. So I want to make clear on that. At the end of the day, you're still operating a business. You just functionally are an S Corp or a sole prop or a DBA, or you make your business being a 1099 employee. You're still having income. You're still running a business. So from that point of view, you're eligible for all the programs. Where it comes into play is if you're a small, medium business, we are still working on our size standards, which you have less than 500 employees. Okay, that's the size standard we're dealing with. The rest of this stuff is truly how your business is organized and how you report your payroll on that, but you're still eligible for the programs. Some of you may have some, especially for our startup businesses, the EIDL program is for anybody who's been in business for a year. So I speak in acronyms, and I apologize for that. So the EIDL program is Economic Injury Disaster Loan. That's the loan that's directly from SBA. That loan, you do need to have been in business for a year. The other 4 programs that are from the lending institutions, you can be a startup. But if you're a startup, for example, how would you determine your payroll? You've been in business for 2 months. That's your payroll for 2 months. So you're still working on how long have you been in business. Some of the other concerns might be your ownership structure. Are you a technology company that has a significant number of investors backing you. So you've got venture partners or what have you. What I would say is we're still developing those rules. So please, please, please do not select yourself out to participate in these programs. Please call your local lender. Please check with our website and apply for the economic injury disaster loan. And then we will be able to, as we continue to revamp the regulations, really be able to answer that. I just want to encourage everyone to apply as much as possible and not make an assumption that you're not eligible, because you very well could be.
Okay, and that's a great point. So people should not wait to say, well, maybe they're going to change eligibility. Maybe the form might change. I don't want to submit twice, once now,
Correct.
once a week from now.
So let's talk about that. The economic injury disaster loan is directly through SBA. It literally will take less than 5 minutes. You need your EIN or your social, you need your business address, you need your revenues last year and your cost of goods sold, and you can apply. You're not giving financial documentation, you're not giving your IRS forms, you're not providing any of that information. You will on the back end when they call you, but to actually get your application in, you don't need any of those things. The other programs are running through the lenders, and because this is an economic stimulus package, you need to work with them because it may not be as intensive a process as you're thinking. Okay. Yep. So that goes to that point as well.
Great advice. So get it in. On the EIDL, as you call it.
Thank you.
I'm learning. There's a provision in there that as you apply, you can also check a box and ask for the first 10,000 upfront or quickly. So can you talk about what that means?
Absolutely. So the EIDL application, again, it's sba.gov/coronavirus, and you follow the prompts down to EIDL, economic injury disaster loan, and you complete the application. On the very last screen, it's going to ask you, would you like to be considered for a $10,000 cash advance, up to a $10,000 cash advance? It will then ask for your bank account information and your routing number. I promise it's a secure website. I promise that it's real. You want to put that in there because the idea is it's $1,000 per employee, up to $10,000 maximum. When you receive that money, it will be within 3 days of your loan being approved, and you can use that on any working capital purpose that you have to run your business. Utilities, rent, interest, mortgage, payroll, whatever it is, that $10,000 is there to use for working capital. You then, let's say you get a loan for $100,000. You would only need to pay back $90,000 because that 10 is a grant. Or you can choose to say, I got my 10 grand, I'm not interested in this loan product, and you can turn it down. That's okay as well. However, we will give you 4 months to change your mind. If after 4 months you're like, oh, I really should have taken that money, you can absolutely go back and say, I'm interested, and the loan will be reopened. But that 10,000 is basically, you can call it a grant, you can call it a forgivable loan, what have you. It is that.
Wow, that's great. Now, what if under the circumstances I apply, I ask for the 10,000, and for some reason, my application is declined, for whatever reason?
You will have 6 months to submit documentation for reconsideration on why you were declined.
Okay, and then is the 10,000 that was advanced?
It would still be there.
Still be there. Great. Okay, fantastic. Switching gears kind of to the Paycheck Protection Program. So that's a program, as you said, through your lender, so not directly to the SBA. All the other programs are direct through your lenders, that basically you take your average payroll from the past couple of months and you can apply for a loan for 2.5 times that much, I think. And there's a provision in that loan actually might be forgivable as well. Can you talk about that?
I can only talk about a little bit of what's on the website. I'm going to always refer all of our small businesses in our area to go to the website, sba.gov/coronavirus, especially with the payroll protection program, because those regs are currently all being written. We released a bunch of things on Thursday. This is in conjunction with the Department of Treasury. So what I might tell you today could very well tomorrow be slightly different. So I'm going to hesitate on that. What you essentially said is correct. It's 2.5. The loan amount will be 2.5 times the payroll. And there will be a loan forgiveness provision in that loan total, but the calculation and all those things is on the website right now. That is through our local lenders. They are processing these loans. If you are interested, you need to contact them. There's an application form on the website that you can fill out just to get the process rolling. If you look at the application, it's only asking for payroll records. So there, again, you're not providing financial statements, you're not providing all of those other intensive things. And you've got to talk to the lenders. You can absolutely have both an EIDL loan and a payroll protection program loan. You can. What you cannot do is you cannot use them for same purposes. So for example, if your payroll protection program is covering your payroll, your EIDL loan would need to cover your working capital costs, like say your insurance and your debt repayment, right? So as long as you don't use them for for the same purposes, you can have both.
And when you talk about resources available to help small businesses figure out which they should be applying to, are there any resources that provide kind of one-on-one guidance, or is it really?
Oh, absolutely. So we are fantastic enough in the Rochester area to have two phenomenal resources that are working really hard to help all of our small businesses. The first is the New York State Small Business Development Center. We have one at SUNY Brockport. And we also have one down at SUNY Geneseo. And they are currently doing electronic counseling and phone counseling. They can walk borrowers through all of our processes, talk through them. They are free. They're affiliated with our SUNY systems. We also have SCORE Greater Rochester, which they are a free resource as well of business mentors. And their website is greaterrochester.score.org. They will be able to provide the same services as well. They're fantastic, both organizations, for really helping all of our businesses. And from any standpoint, small to medium, startups to growth mode, what have you, they're here to help too.
That's great. All right. So that's the Small Business Development Centers and SCORE Greater Rochester.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's see, what else do we got here? So we've talked about kind of all the different programs that are out there specific to this, the coronavirus, and some of the most recent things available. But are there other SBA things that people should also not forget about for small businesses that we want to make sure we mention?
Sure. So when we go about, there's always what the three main things SBA does is we do counseling and training through the Small Business Development Centers and through SCORE Rochester. We have our credit, which is getting money in your hands, which is all of these things that we're talking about today. But there's also government contracting. So remember that even though a lot of things are shut down, there is a significant amount of government contracting going on out there. So if in the future you are looking to use your product or service to sell to the federal government, that's something that we work on. I know that there's a lot of businesses out there who are sort of on hold with some contracts or on hold because they're exporting, for example, and really not sure what's going to happen and how that's going to work out. That's what all of these programs that we talked about today are for. They're to help you get through this crisis by providing working capital. So at the end, when those contracts open back up or that market that you sell to opens back up, you have been able to sustain your business enough to be able to hit the ground running when those other things come into play.
Terrific. So what are some of the questions that you're getting from folks that, that we're not talking about here today? I'm sure there's a million questions that you're getting anytime there's hundreds of billions of dollars.
I am getting a million questions. The first question is really, what lenders are participating? How do I know, Virginia, you talked about 3 or 4 different programs. How do I know who's participating? On sba.gov/coronavirus, there is actually a link to find a lender, and you put in your zip code and up will pop the lenders in your area. So we do have that listing available. A second thing is on the EIDL applications, economic injury disaster loan applications. Where do I go? How do I find it? Is it that easy? Yes, it is. It's on the website and you just follow the links. It's very, very intuitive for that information. The third thing is just kind of real basic eligibility stuff. I'm a sole proprietor. Am I eligible? Absolutely. I'm a startup. Am I eligible? Absolutely. So I think everyone is really trying to grasp around the fact that we are trying to provide as many programs as possible to help the entire economy. So we want to make sure that everybody is as eligible as they can be, which is why these programs are pretty broad. I would also encourage our local businesses to talk to their local economic development offices, their counties, their municipalities, because a lot of the local governments are working on programs as well to make sure that they can be a part of this. So it's really a team effort, but we have to make sure, and again, thank you guys for helping us get this information out. We have to make sure that everybody has all the information, because we don't want them to self-select themselves out by assuming they're not eligible when they very may well be.
That's great advice. And thank you for bringing up some of the other resources. I know Monroe County here has some resources now. The city of Rochester is launching some resources, and there might be other ones as well. So, and we're going to keep updating those on our website at nextcore.org. We've got a COVID-19 page trying to keep all these things up to date for all of our client companies and startups and small businesses in town. And of course, the SBA programs are front and center of all those resources, the most popular ones. So as this pandemic kind of, hopefully it comes to an end sooner rather than later, but with some of the provisions that are in some of these new programs, deferral of payments for 6 months, I think you mentioned for some of them, do you foresee the SBA maybe changing those rules as things go, depending on how the pandemic goes? Could they push things out? Could they change things?
Jim, they can change everything.
Crystal ball. Yeah.
I mean, if I had a crystal ball, I would tell you, please always continue to check back. Please always continue to ask questions. It's not going to hurt to ask that question, because one day you might find that we did.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the most important things to realize is this stimulus package is truly about anything that we can do to help. And we're modifying it as we go to make it better, more efficient, more effective, all of those buzzwords, but truly trying to get the money into the hands of small businesses, and recognizing that, a lot of times locally, there might be different rules. We're in New York, our governor is issuing different rules than other states. So we want to stay flexible. So the crystal ball is, don't ever stop asking that question, because one day it may be something, maybe it's more than 6 months. Maybe it's, just keep going.
Terrific. All right. So my takeaways are: A, don't self-select yourself out of these programs. B,
yes, very much.
Check the SBA website regularly as things change. And C, get out and talk to your lenders as well, because a lot of these programs are going through them. And I'll add one more: D, there's resources at SBDC and SCORE that can also be helpful to you as you're looking at what options are available.
Fantastic. That is a great summary. Even better than I would have done. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Well, I know this is an incredibly busy time for you with everything going on. And so I really appreciate you taking some time to share with us the current status of some of these programs. Anything else that you would want to summarize for folks to make sure that they know about?
No, I think you did a fantastic job, and we always appreciate the partnership at NextCore. We have lots of different programs we run with you guys, and I certainly hope when we're through this, we'll be right back at it.
I'm sure we will. So Virginia, thank you so much again for the time, and we look forward to helping out in any way that we can as well.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
Right. Thank you.